Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I filmed a video. I've been kind of slacking. It's been a rough couple weeks for me, but I'm trying to get back on filming and doing a better job of it. So I watched a video recently it was on Gabby Reed's channel, so I want to make sure to give her credit for this video idea. If it was done before, I haven't seen it, so I only know if she has done it. So if it's been done before and it's somebody else's credit, please let me know. So I saw this video of, she took her stack of Book of the Month books that she hasn't read yet, and she decided to read the first chapter of each one, and then go in and describe which ones she's looking forward to the most, which ones she's not, what she likes so far. And I thought that was really cool because if you're anything like me and you get 3 Book of the Month books a month, you have too many on your shelf and you feel like you're failing. At least that's what I feel like, because I get all these books and I'm so excited about them and I just don't have any time. I don't have as much time as I want because I have so many books and I just can't get to them all. So I thought this would be kind of a cool video to do, or to kind of recreate like she did, because I really enjoyed it. She was able to give her opinions on the book so far and all that. Granted, it's only 1 chapter in, so you can't really get too much into it, but maybe it'll get me to want to read these books, maybe pick them up a little bit quicker. So that's what we're gonna do. Now I have 4 here and another 5 here, so I have a total of 9. So we're gonna be doing 9 chapters today. I have and this video is in no way sponsored. This is not sponsored by Book of the Month or anything, but I have my little stack of, I think it's Autumn Leaf Shop on Etsy, the little bookmarks. So you're gonna see me using these, and I just think they're the cutest ones. Summer, spring, this is not sponsored, but I think they're just the cutest little bookmarks, and so I figured I might as well show you guys, because if you're watching this, you're probably a reader and you always need more bookmarks. So I'm not even gonna really say the titles right now in the intro because I'm gonna talk about them later, so I feel like that'll be repetitive. So we're just gonna jump in. You're gonna see my dogs throughout this. This is Cogsworth. They like to lay in bed with me while I read, and that's why my bed really isn't made, because I'm just gonna lay in bed and read. I have my cozy cardigan, the air conditioner's on, so let's just get into reading. Okay, so I finished reading all 9 first chapters. I didn't stick to just the first chapters. I decided to, most of them had prologues actually, so a couple pages here and there. But you know what, I decided to stick with just the prologues because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times prologues can kind of draw you in, and I find that happen with some of these. So I'm just gonna jump in and talk about them. So let's just go with this one. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. So this one had a prologue, and I'll be honest, this one was actually one of the, I think this is the one that I'm looking forward to the least. Out of all of these books, I've mentioned it in a previous video, the thrillers from Book of the Month have kind of been a letdown for me. I guess I just don't understand their classification of thrillers. To me, a thriller is keeping me on the edge of my seat, wanting to turn every page. I want to know what's happening. Excuse me. And their thrillers just don't do that for me. And I've seen some reviews from people online saying that this wasn't what they were hoping for, but I'll give it a shot. I don't know when. The prologue did not really draw me in. It wasn't like, oh my god, I have to read this. It follows the main girl in this book, just talking about how she always loses things, and then it ends with, there's a voice in my head telling me that's why you lost him. So this book is essentially about the husband disappearing, and then the wife is trying to figure out who he is, or who he was, where he is, what he was doing. So it's pretty much, from what I'm understanding, or what I'm getting from the prologue, is that she's kind of like mentally blaming herself for losing him. So, I don't know. We'll see. It wasn't, I'm not going in this with high hopes. I guess maybe I'm not being fair to the book, but maybe I'll end up liking it because I'm not going in with high hopes. So, we'll see. Okay. Next is The Hunting Wives. This prologue, I've actually heard really good things about this book, and this prologue actually really drew me in. Like, I want to read this because so this follows a woman that I think moves from Chicago down to Texas, and she joins this hunting wives club, and well, I guess they find someone dead where they normally hang out, and now I guess from just, I don't know too much about it, but I'm guessing, that's why I keep saying I guess, she has to try to prove that she wasn't involved or something like that. So the prologue was interesting. It starts with seeing this girl at the pool, she's really pretty, and then the next paragraph is she's face down with a shotgun wound to her back. And so it's like the first paragraph was 1 week, and then the second paragraph where she's dead is the last week. So it goes, and she was dead a week later. So that was really interesting. It's like, oh, I want to know more. Like, how did she die? Who was she? Like, I don't know. It literally, I believe, was just 1 page. But yeah, literally this much, and that drew me in. So I'm pretty excited to read this. Next is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This, I believe, was a prologue as well. Yes, prologue. And this was a decent prologue. I think it was 8 pages? 7 pages. This was decent. This was a good prologue. It makes me want to read more because it's pretty much detailing what side effects that she has due to her chronic illness. It's more of that she collapses and stuff like that. But it doesn't really give you any more detail. So it ends with Get a Life, Chloe. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to know more about her chronic illness. Like, what is it? What causes it? If she knows what causes it. I know some chronic illnesses are very hard to, they're very hard to, diagnose or find the causes. And so I'm interested to see what chronic illness she has and what she gets up to when talking about getting a life. It starts off with her almost getting hit by a car, so if the rest of the book is as eventful as that, I think it'll be a nice romance book when she finds her romantic partner, but I think it'll be eventful because I don't think I've ever read a romance book about like chronic illness and stuff. So I think that that's a pretty unique twist. So I'm pretty excited. The fact that it literally starts with her almost getting hit by a car, I think it's a pretty interesting start. Like, it kind of drew me in. So, okay, next is The Maidens. This by Alex Michaelides, if I'm pronouncing that right. This one I was excited for. I've heard so much about this all over the internet, and this is, I think, a 1-page prologue as well. Yep, 1 page, and it has me hooked already. Like, she's like, this guy is a murderer. I know he is. I just don't know how to prove it, but I'm going to prove it. Like, I'm going to figure this out. So I like a good murder mystery. Like, you know who it is, but how are you going to prove it? How is he so smart that he hasn't been caught? How? So I'm interested to see what's caused him to murder, who he's murdered, how she knows he's a murderer, how she ends up proving that he is. So it's a good, for me, it drew me in because I want to know. I want more information. Next is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was, again, a newer one from this month. And this was a prologue. This was a couple pages long. This kind of hit home for me. So this prologue talks about how in California we have the wildfires here, and Malibu burns pretty frequently. And that is a true statement. There's so many times that I remember just turning on the news and watching the fires just destroy the areas around that I live, and it's a pretty common thing. You know, in other parts of the world or other parts of the United States, we hear about hurricanes, we hear about tornadoes, we hear about all that, but California has those wildfires, and they are terrible. Like walking outside and just not being able to breathe fresh air and seeing the ash when your car's covered in ash, when you're literally so far away from them, it's insane what can happen, and anything can spark California wildfires. Like anything, a cigarette, anything, literally. It's insane, and that's what this prologue talked about. And it talks about how there was a party and the fire started there, and instead of it starting in the Malibu Hills, it started on the coastline, and somebody started the fire and walked away. So that sounds interesting. It's kind of like reading a story in my own backyard. I've grown up with the wildfires, I've grown up with the Santa Ana winds that she discusses everything, so it's kind of feels a little bit familiar to me. So I'm interested to see who started the fire and walked away. Yeah, so I think this one sounds pretty good so far. All but one of the 5 I've talked about have drawn me and have hooked me. So I think that's a pretty good streak we're on. Okay, next is One to Watch. This one was a prologue as well, and I liked it because this one, this is a book about kind of like it's based, I think, on the show like The Bachelorette. But this book is having more of a heavy-set, plus-size woman as the Bachelorette, which makes me excited. I've talked about this in a video before. But pretty much the prologue is her talking about how she's shopping, but she doesn't even look at the clothes and all this stuff. And then right as she's about to leave, this lady gives her this cape. And she's like, well, why are you giving it to me? And she's like, well, because the way you walk and the way you dress is like you're hiding, and you shouldn't hide. And I love that line, like, or that, God, I can't even think, that lesson from the book. That's a really good lesson, because when you look on social media or TV nowadays, all you see are these skinny girls, and that's what everybody thinks that they need to be, and it's been like that for years. And so the fact that someone sees her, even though she's heavy set, and she gives her this like expensive cape that's supposed to be like $200 or whatever it is, and she's like, just wear it and be proud and tell people where you got it. And it's like, wow, that's amazing that someone's like, I don't care what size you are, you look beautiful, and flaunt it. So I think that was a really good lesson, and if the rest of the book is going to be like that, I'm pretty happy with the themes that are going to come out of it. So we'll see. Okay, next is again, I cannot pronounce it. I still have not been able to. I'm going to say Arianny by Jennifer Saint. So this one was a short prologue as well. This talks about how this one man, King Minos of Crete, he is going for revenge, and he ends up killing this king or the leader of this town. And the only reason he knows how to kill him is because the daughter was a traitor. And then from there he kills him, but then also kills the daughter because she's a traitor even though she helped him. So it kind of starts off, and then it says something about, it asks the question where it says, where is it? Kind of start the book off, and it says, and what possible use could my father, King Minos of Crete, ever have for a treacherous daughter? So I feel like that's kind of based on what the book's description is. That's kind of like foreshadowing that his daughter is going to be treacherous, because that's pretty much what the book description is. So it sounds interesting to me. I have not dabbled in Greek mythology yet, and I'm excited to jump into it. It sounds pretty good. Okay, so the next book is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I had previously read the prologue before filming this video, so I read the first chapter, and so far the prologue and the first chapter has kind of intrigued me. I already want to read this book. I've been told it's so great that it's just the perfect summer read, so I'm interested. The first chapter actually was pretty interesting. It completely differs from the prologue. The prologue, she's friends with Alex and she's just so happy, and then the first chapter she's like, I have my dream job, I have my dream apartment, I have my dream life, and I'm not happy. And the last time I was happy was, I believe, 2 years ago with Alex in, I believe, Croatia. So it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of interested to see why she's not happy anymore, what happened between her and Alex, and what she's going to do to fix it. So I'm excited for this one. I've been excited about it for months, so I just need to sit down and read it. Okay, and the last one is Instructions for Dancing. My dog was sniffing it and has dirtied the cover already. Thanks, Kane. Love you. Okay, Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. This first chapter, it's interesting. It starts off with, I used to love reading, I loved books, but now I hate it and I'm donating all my books. So that's pretty interesting. And then we find out that her dad cheated and left her family for another woman, and she wonders why she's taking it so hard compared to her mom and her sister. So I don't know. Obviously, there's going to be some dancing involved in this book. I don't know, maybe dancing is going to take place of reading, or maybe we'll see her fall in love with reading again. I'm not sure. But I'm interested to see what happens, because I've been there where I used to love reading and then reading wasn't doing it for me, and I literally took, I think, a 4-year break from reading, I want to say, because it was just, I just couldn't do it. So it's kind of interesting to see. I'm interested to see if she'll ever get back into it, what happened with her parents, is she gonna ever rebuild her relationship with her dad, and whatnot, and see how the divorce really affected her. So far I think we got some pretty good books. There's only one in there that I'm not like jumping to read, so I think out of 9 books, only one kind of being like, I think that's good. A good 8 books that I really want to read. I'm happy with that. So yeah, I didn't film much of me reading because I feel like that would be boring, just watching me read a book. So I have a few minutes of it. Nothing crazy, but I'm excited to jump into these books. And yes, this video idea I got from Gabby Reads, and I'll make sure to link her below. She did some, I think her video was great, kind of describing some of the books and everything that she did, so I felt like I wanted to do it, and I think that it was fun. It was kind of gets me interested in the books that I have on my shelf. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel. And if you've read any of these books or are interested in them, please leave comments down below and tell me what you thought of them or what you're most excited for. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!